Boris Kitt from The Hollywood Reporter recently got a chance to talk with Steve Asbell, the president of 20th Century Studios, who had a ton of information on new projects for both Alien, Predator, and perhaps even one for Alien vs. Predator. With the success of Alien Romulus, I knew that they were already looking into another film. And this was confirmed by Steve when he was asked about the future of Alien, and he said, "We're working on a sequel idea now. We haven't quite closed our deal with Fade, but we are going to, and he has an idea that we're working on." The two survivors, Rain and Andy, played by Kaylee Spaney and David Johnson, were real highlights of the film. And so I always think of it like, wow, where do people want to see them go next? We know there's going to be aliens, we know there's going to be great horror set pieces, but I fell in love with both of them and I want to see what their story is. Fade has mentioned many times that he has ideas for where to take another film if he was given the chance, and it looks like he was already working on it, but he just couldn't say anything yet. At the end of Romulus, Rain and Andy are on their way to Ivaga 3, and they have the vials of Compound Z01 that mutated K and created the offspring. In an earlier interview with Fade from THR, he was asked if he could pitch a Romulus sequel tomorrow if he had to, and he said, "Yes, I definitely can. For me, it's always been about story. So once they finished, they started thinking, what happens when or if they get to Ivaga? Is it going to be great, or is it a terrible place? We tend to believe that it's probably a terrible place and that they think it's great and fantasize about it. So we naturally started thinking about where it goes and what's going to happen. And then a few minutes in, we go, oh, that sounds like a sequel. But we really try to think about it more in terms of story and if it needs another chapter and whether people want to know what happens next. So we'll wait and see what people think and if people ask for it. My philosophy is that you should never make a sequel in 2 years. You've got to get away. You've got to get the audience to really want it. And if you think about Alien and Aliens, there's 7 years in between them. But we definitely have ideas about where it should go. So it looks like that release timeline may get sped up now. But he also told THR that Ivaga actually means paradise in Guarani, and that the name of his country, Uruguay, is based on that language. Paradise is important because it was a title for Prometheus at one time during its production, and Paradise Lost is an early draft for Alien Covenant. And in that version, they go to what is specifically called the Engineer Homeworld, which Shaw calls Paradise, because I think it's got to be heaven, and they have to be gods. I bring this up because Fade also told The Wrap that he felt guilty for making Romulus when Scott's prequel trilogy had stalled out, and that if he and Ridley got to make another after this, that he'd merge them, saying, "I think that's what I want to see. I never liked the idea that something got suspended and some stories were really not finished. And I think that he really wants to find a conclusion to some of the stuff he started with Prometheus and Covenant. But I'm the one who wants to make sure that everything builds up to one big finale." Romulus already had strong ties to the prequels with the addition of the pathogen. However, Ridley said in interviews that the substance was created by the engineers and that it was used by David to make the xenomorph. But now with Romulus, we find out that the pathogen not only comes from the xenomorphs, but we also see that the engineers may have been created from it like the humans were. The Renaissance Station and all of the work that Rook had done with the alien has now been destroyed. But the company would have backed up any information learned from there, and they also know that Andy and Rain are headed to Ivaga 3, and they may even know that they are carrying vials of Compound Z01, so the stage is set for an alien invasion of Ivaga if they choose to go there. When asked about the upcoming Predator film and if it will be in theaters, referring to Badlands, Steve said yes and no. There's a second Predator movie that we have different plans for. Dan has actually directed both. There's a secret Predator movie that will come out before the theatrical one, but I can't say anything about it yet. But I noticed that he said one is live action with Elle Fanning, which is Badlands, so the other must be animated. And surely enough, AVP Galaxy then confirmed that an animated Predator film was in the works, and that it would feature samurai. Now I'm betting that this one will come out on Hulu like Prey did, but apparently Dan Trachtenberg said that he didn't want to make a follow-up to Prey. And when they talked about other ideas, Badlands and the animated project are what came out of that. And if that isn't enough, and even more surprising news, they even asked Steve if we'd ever see another Alien vs. Predator. And he said, probably, adding that it wouldn't be in the way you think. That's the thing. Not in the way that it would just be called Alien vs. Predator or anything like the original movies. If we do this, they'll be organically created out of these two franchises that we've continued with characters that we fall in love with, and those characters will combine. Perhaps. But we haven't gotten to that point yet, and we're not just going to bang it out. So it's pretty clear that they don't want to handle AVP like it was done before. with devoted AVP films, and instead are looking at some kind of possible crossover. Fede was asked at the premiere of Romulus about how long we would have to wait until we could see Alien vs Predator. And he said, "I don't know, it depends on how well this does and if people want to see that. Maybe it's something I have to co-direct with my buddy Dan. Maybe we should do like Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez did with Dusk Till Dawn. I'll direct a half and he'll direct another half." He was obviously joking around there, but the guy loves Alien and I wouldn't be surprised if he was somehow attached to something from AVP in the future. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care, and I hope to see you next time.